Welcome back, players and collectors, to my channel. Today we're going to talk about something that I don't really see very many people talk about, and that's that TCGs today have a problem. And it's not just the newer indie TCGs that have a problem, but it's the old ones, the big three. It's all these TCGs have some pretty big problems, and there seems to be no happy medium, but going to try my best to offer you some solutions to those problems. So let's get into it. We're going to start with the bigger TCGs first, namely Pokemon. Now, you guys know me, I am a huge Pokemon fan and I love the game. I love collecting Pokemon and I love playing Pokemon, but it doesn't mean it doesn't have problems. And, for the collecting side of things, we'll start there. The collecting side of things has a big problem when it comes to chasing all these cards. Every set seems to have some super high dollar amount card that everybody chases, and a lot of the other cards kind of get thrown to the wayside. But then also pull rates usually are a problem. Now I know Pokemon has done a lot to fix pull rate problems recently, but there's something wrong with spending hundreds of dollars on any given set, let's say 151 for an example, and opening so many packs, talking hundreds, maybe thousands of dollars in packs, to not pull a whole set. Now I know there's some people out there that are going to be like, oh my god, I pulled all of them in, $200 worth of packs. That's cool. You are definitely not the majority of people here. But Pokemon has a problem where there's way too many cards in any given set, and pull rates are atrocious. Plus, you have things like what happened last summer with the whole EV or Evolving Skies alternate art situation, where that one dude brought in like literal stacks of alternate arts to a card shop to sell them. There's stuff like that that's happening that it becomes so discouraging to a lot of people to try and collect. It also artificially inflates product, and sealed product for that matter, to really high prices. And for a lot of average collectors out there, it's hard to get product, especially if something is like Evolving Skies, where there's some really high sought after cards. It becomes really hard to collect, and we see it when people rush to the stores to buy up all the product of any given thing and kind of go. Look at the booster bundles from, like I have this one right here. There's booster bundles that fly off the shelf that nobody else can grab, and then there's nothing left on the shelf for sets. And average collectors have a hard time even completing sets and finding cards they want. But then as a player, the game is truly fun, and I feel like the game is actually in the best place it's been in a long time. But I feel like it's like stale growth right now, and I don't know why that is. Maybe that's just local to me, but it's like nobody's new is coming in to play the game, and it feels like it's just the same people that have been playing the game that are in it. So just a couple things with Pokemon I've noticed that, they're tending to be problems. But then when you look at something else, like Magic the Gathering, let's be honest here, it's Magic the Gathering. No, the real issue though is that it's Wizards of the Coast, and they are doing everything they can to tank the game and just blow it up, send it straight into the dirt. MTG it's always been the classic go-to trading card game, but anymore there's so much product coming out, so many new sets, you have to spend hundreds of dollars on any given deck to be competitive even a little bit if you were to go play any kind of game. So Magic the Gathering, for a lot of people, me included, has kind of faded away. You don't really want to play anymore. But collectability, Magic, in my opinion, has never been really that collectible. There's some really cool cards in there that people do collect, but it's not like Pokemon where it's extremely collectible, where the collectability of it is arguably bigger than the gameplay side of it. And then you have One Piece, and One Piece is just such an interesting experiment of a TCG right now. So you take a super popular franchise and IP and you turn it into a card game, and man, it blows up. And so that's like the huge problem right now with One Piece, is that it is so popular and there's so little of it being printed that demand is just skyrocketing and there's no product left. Case in point, I even showed a picture of my store last week when the new set, Wings of the Captain, was supposed to be releasing. My store actually stocked it on a Wednesday, and man, it was wiped clean within minutes. And it came out, a couple days early. Have not seen any of it since then. They restocked twice now. Well, this week and last week they restocked. So there's been nothing. There's literally nothing on the shelves. So maybe it's coming, but I've been seeing people like literally running to stores to try to buy it all up and then go back online and resell it. So like One Piece right now is pretty much unplayable, and it's extremely hard to collect because, again, it's kind of got the problem Pokemon has, where there's a lot of cards that are worth some like ridiculous amounts of money, and that drastically increases the value of sealed product. And then you've got grown adults who are running into stores using their credit cards to buy literally everything, leaving nothing else behind. And that, people can sit there and argue and say whatever they want about people not getting there first, or, not having the resources, whatever. But at the end of the day, it still hurts the hobby and the game more than it helps it. So One Piece is just ridiculous. And then Lorcana finally starting to do things great, and then they have a big trip and they mess up, and their production of Into the Inklands. Now, Lorcana is a great game. It's so fun to play. If you guys not played Lorcana, I truly encourage you guys to play. It's a really, really fun game. And it's really fun to collect too. I genuinely enjoy opening packs and getting cards and looking for singles. You guys know that I look for the Robin Hood and the pirate cards and all that. So I do collect and play Lorcana. But one of their issues they've recently come across, and it's been a big issue and actually started blowing up to be something a little bit bigger than I think anybody anticipated, is they have booster boxes and they just have lines of product with certain serial numbers on the product that are guaranteed to not have legendary cards in them. And if you know anything about Lorcana, legendaries are like the top rarity. Those are what you're looking for. Those are like what makes a box worth it, or make a pack worth it, is getting legendary cards, especially in foil. And there's certain product that if it has a certain serial number, it will not have legendary cards in it. So there's definitely like a manufacturing production level error, where when it's coming off the line, they never made their way, like certain sheets and certain packs never made their way into runs of a booster box or booster packs, or the decks with the little one pack in each. So it sucks, because you have to look, if you're buying Into the Inklands, you have to look at the serial number of whatever product you're buying and make sure it's one that could potentially have the good hits in it. Otherwise, you're kind of buying a searched pack in the way of, that there's not going to be any big hits in it. And I mean, hey, maybe that's your thing, but for most people, we don't want to buy that kind of product. So all these TCGs that are really coming up in force right now, all these big TCGs have some pretty obvious and glaring problems. And, there's some easy solutions to some of these problems. Pokemon, it's just buy singles, don't buy sealed packs. One Piece, you could kind of argue the same thing, buy singles, not buy sealed packs. Or just pre-order things ahead of time when you can get them at a discount, or you can actually get the product. Magic is magic. There's no real saving that unless you take it away from WotC. And then like Lorcana, that's a production level issue. There's not really much you can do about that. And again, you can do your due diligence and just put in the extra work to make sure that whatever you're buying is a good product. You know, not one of the ones that's going to be missing something. But something that a lot of people now are not looking at, and they're kind of just foregoing, is newer TCGs, indie TCGs. And I know a lot of people, as soon as I say that, are probably sitting there going, "Ooh, gross." But seriously, hear me out. Like Pokemon, Magic, Yu-Gi-Oh!, One Piece, like these were all new TCGs at some point to where they were small and had to grow. All these games are kind of the same way, and a lot of these games are fantastic games with great art and are truly undiscovered gems just because nobody's put any kind of time or effort into truly understanding them or looking at them. And they're not without faults either. You know, these indie games are just like anybody else that have some faults, but I don't think their problems and their issues are as large as what these big games are. You know, no, these new games are not having manufacturer errors where some of their packs are, you know, not going to have good hits in them, and then some might have nothing but hits in them. It's just not the case for a lot of these, for any of these TCGs, as far as I know. And then there's no issues with like collectability or, you know, being priced out of things, and like they're all available. So all these issues you're encountering with these big TCGs could be supplemented by looking at smaller games, indie games. And, you know, if you watch anything on my channel, you know that I love indie games and I love these smaller TCGs, but just as much as I love the big ones. And I think that's something that people really need to look at more, is that there's some really good games out there. The huge problem, the number one problem people have with these small games is it doesn't make you money, it won't get you rich, it's not worth investing in. And people need to just like go into these games with the mindset of, I want to collect something or I want to play something, and you're golden. These games are just fantastic, and some of the games I'm talking about, nostalgics, you guys know I'm like huge into nostalgics. Mythik TCG. I've even looked at stuff for Alpha Clash and like Cryptic. Those are some really good games. Primal, Legions of Will. I mean, even some of the newer Kickstarter era games. You know, Alestrals was really cool, very, very Pokemon-esque. What is it? Chronicles of Arcane. Their cards are, in my opinion, a little bit bland, but still pretty interesting, and the gameplay looks really good. What's the new one? There's Altered. It looks like it could be an interesting game. You know, like there's some really good prospects out there that could really use support, and I think they solve a lot of these problems that these bigger games are having if people just look into them. So I strongly encourage you guys, check out those games and just look into them, but then also look into the solutions for these other games as well. And, you know, I want to know what you guys think, so make sure you comment down below what you think about the problems of these big games, or, you know, like what your solutions would be for them. But appreciate you guys taking the time to hang out with me and hear me out, and I can't wait to see what you guys say down below, and I will see you guys in the next video.